The Ghanaian worker today is already overburdened. Our salaries, we negotiated for 2022 7%. We did so at a time when inflation was at 9%. Today, inflation is over 27%. So our real incomes have been eroded in this last 2 years. And you can see the skyrocketing prices across the board in all markets and for all products. So we are already overburdened. How does the decision to go to the IMF impact us? I mean, if history is to serve as a guide, what we know is that when IMF program starts, workers are always in the line of fire. So we could foresee IMF conditionalities like cutting jobs in the public sector. We could foresee like a freeze on employment into the public sector. And you know that the private sector is actually not strong enough to be able to absorb the numbers coming from the free SHS, but also coming from the investors. Okay.
High cost of borrowing, and then also the low revenues that were coming in. And labor was also asking for increase in wages in the midst of all this. So what are the alternatives? Or you're just trying to protect your territory?
Alternative, I cannot sit down here and give you the full picture of what we ought to be doing. But the point we are making is as simple as this. We have faced this challenge before, and we were told that the only alternative is to go to the IMF. And we were told that, in fact, the last time we were told that this will be the last IMF. Okay. This last IMF didn't help. Okay. We were of the opinion that just like the last time, a national conversation on how we overcome the problems facing the country ought to have been a far better option than handing over the management of the economy to the IMF. That would have been our preferred option. And that would entail, for example, that we all come to a certain conclusion that this is the challenge we have. And like the finance minister has been saying, burden sharing. We know that government is actually cutting expenditure in a manner that does not affect the poor. Government is actually cutting its coat according to its size or the size of its cloth. Government is actually doing the things that ought to be done and demonstrating to the people that we are in this together. Then the people themselves can also rally around government programs.
You are asking for an increase in the minimum wage now. Would you accept any communication from government that because of the IMF program, we cannot increase minimum wage as you're expecting?
Why would the TUC back down? When we know that, in fact, what is coming is even coming to add to the challenges workers are facing. So I've indicated on a different platform that this decision by government itself makes the call for a COLA and further wage increase even more urgent now, because we are suffering.